This is why the Daryll Jordan Secondary School is known for our steel pan. Thank you, Mr. Devonish, for that moving rendition. At this time, we invite the head girl, Donnell Holder, to read the second Bible reading.
Good morning. The second Bible reading is taken from Philippians chapter 3, verse 13 to 17, and it reads, Brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind, and straining toward what is ahead. I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. All of us, then, who are mature should take such a view of things, and if at some point you think differently, that too, God will make clear to you. Only let us live up to what we have already attained. Join together in following my example, brothers and sisters, and just as you have us as a model, keep your eyes on those who live as we do. Thanks be to God.
Thank you very much, Donnell. At this time, to offer congratulatory words to the Daryll Jordan Secondary School community, we invite the Minister in the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, the Honorable Peter Phillips, to the podium. Mr. Phillips, sir, before you begin, on the behalf of the members and staff of the Daryll Jordan Secondary School, we would like to take this time to express our sympathies at the passing of your brother. You're welcome.
The Honorable Santia Bradshaw, Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, Parliamentary Secretary Dr. Rommel Springer, Dr. Rommel Springer, who's Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, Chairman of the Board, Mr. Pearson Springer, Acting Principal, Ms. Cheryl Gill, members of the board, members of staff, teaching and non-teaching, members of the Old Scholars Association, our honored guests today, Mr. and Mrs. Vasper Drakes, specially invited guests, students, ladies and gentlemen. I'm indeed delighted to stand here this morning as a member of Parliament for this constituency and to offer congratulatory remarks to this school, which has been a beacon in St. Lucie, and I will speak a bit more about that a little later. The Board of Management, the principal, and the staff, and particularly I want to mention the immediate past principal, Mr. Stephen Jackman, with whom I've worked since I was the Member of Parliament for this constituency. And of course, I look forward to working with you, Ms. Gill, as well, as we seek to push this school forward. The Daryll Jordan School, over its 49 years, has been a beacon in the community, and it continues to provide all those who pass through its hallowed walls the opportunity to fulfill the motto, every talent to greatest use. It is important at this juncture that we provide our young people with the opportunities necessary to keep their minds and hands, their minds employed, their hands occupied in a positive manner. The beauty of this school has been in the commitment of its administrators who have over the years ensured that the school makes great strides in all its efforts that has been undertaken. If we look at the history of the school, of this institution, there's a lot that we can be proud of, both what has happened, and this gives inspiration to those who will follow. The Daryll Jordan Secondary School has produced some of the best in the arts, sports, and the sciences who continue to fly the banner of this school, and in some cases, this country very high. However, greatness cannot be achieved without some level of support. As such, in this, the 49th year of existence of this institution, and you heard the chairman of the board mention this, I'm proud to partner with friends. I'm proud to partner with the school to provide scholarships to assist the next set of students, next set of great students from this institution. And so in support of its mentoring program, I will work with at least 3 students at the outset to ensure that they receive the relevant training, they get the relevant opportunity to work and to be exposed to the world of work as we move forward. To the members of the Old Scholars Association, I want to thank you for being the foundation on which this school has been built. To the principal and staff, teaching and non-teaching, thank you for your continued interest in the education and well-being of those who pass through this institution. The Board of Management, you continue to be the source of support to the institution, and to you, the students, this is your passport to the world, and you need to use your time here wisely. As we approach our 50th year, there will be a year-long celebration, I understand. And as the Member of Parliament for this constituency, I pledge my support to you. I will be here with you. I've noted quite well some of the things that have been said by the chairman of the board in terms of the diminishing numbers at the school, but that can be fixed, and that will be fixed. I take on every challenge. My colleagues, indeed, Minister Bradshaw has a number of schools, secondary schools in her constituency. I'm honored to have just one, so therefore I can channel all my energies and everything toward that school, and I pledge to do that to you today, Daryll Jordan Secondary. And we will work together. We'll work together. I therefore congratulate all of you on this achievement, and I look forward to next year as we come back here again to celebrate in the Silver Jubilee. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Mr. De Phillips, for those congratulatory words and those promises that we will be looking forward to from you to deliver, sir. Thank you once again. Along with the scholarship mentioned by the Honorable Peter Phillips, we are pleased to announce that we will be receiving some more scholarships in the very near future. If these persons are here, could you please have when they call your names? The first scholarship will be a literary scholarship from the former Director of Public Prosecutions, Mr. Anthony Blackman. Thank you, sir. In addition, there are also 2 agricultural science scholarships from Mr. Dujon Edwards. Thank you very much, sir. And last, and by certainly no means least, there are also 2 athletic scholarships from Mr. Lennox Ellis. Thank you very much, sir. At this time, we welcome to the podium the Minister of Education, Technical and Vocational and Training, the Honorable Santia Bradshaw, to offer a few encouraging words to the members of the Daryll Jordan School community. And immediately following her address, we will be unveiling the first achievement shield, which would represent persons who have gained academic excellence from the year 1974 to 1979. And for this exercise, she will be assisted by the chairman of the board, Mr. Pearson Springer.
I note first of all that the Master of Ceremonies said that I'm saying a few words. I don't know many politicians who ever say a few words, but I will give it a shot. Good morning, everyone. Minister in the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security and Parliamentary Representative of the constituency of St. Lucie, Mr. Peter Phillips. Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, Dr. Ramel Springer. Chairman of the Board of Management, Pearson Springer, and other board members. Honored guests, Mr. and Mrs. Vaspert Drakes. Principal Acting, Ms. Cheryl Gill. Guest speaker, Dr. Rodney Worrell. Members of staff, students, distinguished guests, members of the media. The pleasure is mine this morning to share with you the achievements of this hallowed institution, the Daryll Jordan Secondary School, and to offer congratulations as you commence celebrations in your 49th year of existence, moving towards your jubilation year, the Big 50. It was exactly 49 years ago today, October 28th, that the ribbon was cut by Miss Cicely Boyce, a teacher, and Colleen Campbell, a student, to symbolize the opening of what was then the St. Lucie Secondary School. The then Minister of Education, now Sir Lloyd Erskine Sandiford, was no doubt under tremendous pressure from residents in the north of the island who had been agitating for a return to St. Lucie of an institution of secondary education to replace what was known as the Parish School, which was a small secondary school for boys only, which had been closed in 1951 and amalgamated into what is now the Coleridge and Parry Secondary School. Just a little bit of history for those of you who may not have been aware. Research bears the fact that over the years, this school has catered to every talent, not only through academics, but also through sports and extracurricular activities. It has been a beacon of inspiration and hope to many. I suspect that when the school sung, as it is referred to in the school song as the Northern Star, the author was no doubt calling on those fortunate to pass through its doors to see themselves like the North Star, which is the anchor of the northern sky, and to see themselves as a landmark which would help those who follow their achievements to be led to a purposeful destination. The Daryll Jordan Secondary School has done more than educate the students in the north. It has allowed students to hone their talents, varied talents, and to excel in their respective fields. There are many past students who have excelled in their educational pursuits, such as Anthony Blackman, the Deputy Director of Public Prosecution, Mr. Alfred Jackman, Guest Services Manager at the Sandy Lane Hotel, Andrew Cadogan, General Practitioner, Sharday Boyce, Executive Director of the Barbados Manufacturers Association, Adrian Williams, whose business is in information technology as an analyst. There are also many past students who have also excelled in sports, and we have the pleasure this morning, certainly, of honoring our cricketers, Vaspert Drakes and Ryan the Man Hurley, who represented the West Indies. Elwyn Oxley, who captained the national volleyball team and played internationally, was also a product of this institution. Norman Ford, international football player, and Lennox Ellis, long-distance runner, Crystal Emmanuel, also an alumni, and is alleged to be the fastest sprinter in Canada. She was due to represent Canada at the 2020 Olympics, but of course, COVID-19 pandemic has changed what would no doubt have been another historic moment for this school and its proud alumni. This school is also known for its performance in the area of technical and vocational education and training, what is commonly known as TVET. An engagement in TVET is particularly important for promoting economic development, expanding employment size, and improving the quality of employment. As economic, social, and technological change gathers pace, people everywhere need to develop their knowledge and their skills on a continuous basis so that they can live and work meaningfully in the knowledge society. Education and training contribute to an individual's personal development, increases his or her productivity and incomes at work, and facilitates everyone's participation in economic and social life. The skills program here at the Daryll Jordan Secondary School must be commended. The education and training performed at this institution by highly trained teachers has provided the students with the skills and knowledge needed to raise their output and generate income. It would be remiss of me if I did not also mention at this point the excellent tutelage of the music department, and certainly coming from a background in music and managing several artists, I'm particularly pleased whenever I hear the songs emanating from all of the distinguished men and women who are part of the SEAL Orchestra. Please give them a round of applause. My government acknowledges the fact that investing in education and training is an investment in the future. Knowledge and skills are the engine of economic growth and social development. And the effort to provide basic education and literacy for all children and adults will underpin the economic and social development of countries by ensuring the capacity of people to learn and provide the foundation for their employability and access to decent work. Quality education, vocational education and training helps to develop the individual's knowledge of science and technology in a broad occupational area, requiring technical and professional competencies and specific occupational skills. The opportunity for students to equip themselves to lead productive and satisfying lives will undoubtedly be critical to the prosperity and well-being of the entire community. Students at this institution presently participate in several areas of the CVQ program, in TVET areas of carpentry and furniture making, electrical installation, masonry, commercial food preparation, and agricultural science. With additional resources, which no doubt the chairman and the board of management and the acting principal will be putting a case for in the upcoming financial year, we will again witness the expansion of offerings under the CVQ program. I could also not come here this morning without recognizing that while we acknowledge the contributions of past students over the course of the last 49 years, their success has also largely been the result of the commitment and dedication of hardworking teachers, ancillary staff, and of course, principals. And we salute you all for staying the course. Permit me a minute to salute Mr. Stephen Jackman, who on my coming to office certainly stood out for me as one of the outstanding principals who was very committed to the institution which he led. And I'm happy that he has now moved on to the Frederick Smith Secondary School, which I believe that he will continue to do what he did here and to demonstrate continued commitment and dedication to ensuring that we get the best out of our students. I'm excited by the mentorship program, and I hope that other institutions across the island will take a leaf from the Daryll Jordan Secondary School and encourage all scholars and other persons across the community to be able to reach out to our young people and to mentor them in every possible way. Sometimes we wonder how we're going to give back, But I think that this, again, is an example, and I'm glad that my colleague minister as well is also, he only has one school, so he doesn't have as many as I do. I think I have 5 in my constituency. So he's able to not spread himself too thin. But it really does require us to make a call for others to come on board to be able to mentor our young people. And I'm glad that we are honoring our outstanding cricketers today, but we also have a number of other people that I've mentioned who have obviously passed through these doors, who I'm sure can continue and are doing as well very good works in order to be able to uplift a number of you, the students of this institution. As I close, however, let me remind the present students that those before you have set the course with full focus of success in view. This school will not be deterred by contrary winds which may rise and lull, because God enables learning here so that the star will get brighter day by day. I'm sure those words are very familiar to you. I therefore urge you to be the northern stars in whatever you do in life, and make your soul and indeed your country proud. I salute you, the members of the Daryll Jordan Secondary School, and I wish that your activities will be memorable and fruitful as you celebrate this year leading to your 50th anniversary. Continue to burn brightly and to ensure that all talents are put to good use. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your words, Minister Bradshaw. At this time, we will now be unveiling the first Achievement Shield for persons who would have attended the then called St. Lucie Secondary School from 1974 to 1979. To the current students who are here, I issue you a challenge. At the end of your journey through the hallowed halls of Daryll Jordan Secondary School, I urge you to follow the instructions of your teachers that your names will be written on history's page, and that so many of you will want your name up there that they will have to give us a bigger auditorium. Sounds like a good deal, students? Does it sound like a good deal, students? All right, I will hold you to your word. At this time, we invite the principal acting of the Daryll Jordan Secondary School, Mrs. Cheryl Gill, to deliver her remarks.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies. Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, the Honorable Cynthia Bradshaw. Minister in the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, Honorable Peter Phillips, MP. Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, Dr. Rommel Sprayer. Chairman of the Board of Management, Pearson Sprayer, and other board members. Honored guests, Mr. and Mrs. Vasper Drake, guest speaker, Dr. Rodney Daryll, members of staff, students, distinguished guests, members of the media, good morning. I am pleased to welcome all of you to the Daryll Jordan School this morning as we participate in the commemorative activities to mark the 49th anniversary of the establishment of this school. Today, we have had the opportunity to reflect on the many institutional achievements and milestones, and we say, to God be the glory, as we seek to consolidate these achievements into a solid foundation on which to build the future. When this school was officially opened, it provided a great opportunity, especially for those persons from the north of the island, to access secondary education in close proximity to their homes. Since then, our reach has become island-wide, and we serve the needs of students from throughout the length and breadth of our nation. This morning, we would like to thank the alumni here and abroad who have continued to reach out to the school and to give support in many areas, but more recently in the form of school supplies and electronic devices. Today, we will dedicate the pavilion in honor of two outstanding sports persons, Vasper Drake and Ryan Hurley. We are pleased to inform you that the tradition of excellence in sports continues, and we are presently preparing 3 students to take their SATs in anticipation of scholarships in their respective athletic disciplines. We would also like to recognize the excellence of our school orchestra, and we look forward to even greater things from the school orchestra as time goes by. We firmly resolve as a school to ensure that every talent is nurtured and developed to its maximum potential. We thank the Honorable Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training for the passion, the drive, and the commitment which has been shown in supporting institutions such as ours through these very challenging times. We also extend gratitude to the Chairman and the Board of Management for their steadfast support. This has been a watershed year in education, and we have a solemn obligation in this blended environment to ensure that we adapt, that we remain relevant, and more importantly, that we continue to reach out and to engage all of our students. Distance learning and teaching has become an imperative, and we have been forced to fully utilize technology to link to our students. We intend as a school to ensure that our teachers, our parents, and our students are fully conversant with the modern platforms for the delivery of quality remote teaching and learning. It is a task that requires our full cooperation. To all the members of the private sector and to our MP who have felt the need to identify, as well as past students, I dare say, who have felt the need to identify with this institution and to reach out and respond to the needs in various ways, we thank you. And we pledge that our brand as a school will represent your business or represent you as an individual well. We are thankful for all your support, and together we can reap success. This year, our CSEC results have continued to be very pleasing. We have gained 100% passes in some subjects and an overall pass rate of 63.5%. We therefore thank our immediate past principal, Mr. Stephen Datman, our deputy principal, Mr. Ken Lane, and our teachers for their continued creativity, dedication, and commitment to excellence. We will endeavor as a school to build out our CVQ programs, to build out our literacy support programs, and to ensure that we deliver an excellent secondary education to all who pass through this institution. An education that redounds to the tangible manifestation of the power of secondary education to transform lives, to transform communities, societies, and economies as we build a more competitive and knowledge-driven country. I would like to reiterate that this moment of jubilation and anticipation comes with a deep feeling of gratitude to all of those on whose shoulders we stand. We recognize the very hard work of all those who have built this institution into what it is today. In this present age, however, I am very mindful of the need to build character in our charges. And as Martin Luther King Jr. aptly stated, the function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of education. We therefore intend to strengthen our character building organization within the school and to call on leaders of various institutions of this country to assist us in the molding of students with strong character in an age that is filled with many forces that run counter to this noble aim. Distinguished guests, I wish to close by challenging all our present students to aim for excellence. And I wish to quote Virginia Gildersleeve, a noted American academic and leader in education. She was really a leader in mainly women's education. However, her words remain very relevant to us today. The ability to think straight, some knowledge of the past, some vision of the future, some skill to do useful service, some urge to fit that service into the well-being of the community. These are the most vital things that education must produce. My challenge, therefore, to all concerned with this school is to let us work together to ensure that the Daryll Jordan Secondary School continues to be invested in these ideas and to shine brightly in the North. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Gill, for your thoughtful words. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you have all been waiting for. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the internationally renowned Daryll Jordan Steel Orchestra to the stage to render some selections for you. The group that will perform for you is comprised of some past students as well as some present students. After last year, where many of the group would have graduated and gone on to carry out their various life's endeavors, a decision was made to form the Daryll Jordan Music Society. And for today, I give you the pleasure of seeing what these talented individuals have to perform. Ladies and gentlemen, the Daryll Jordan Secondary School Steel Orchestra. Ladies and gentlemen, did you enjoy that? No, I can't hear you. Did you enjoy that? So join me as we once more thank the members of the Daryll Music Society. It is now time for the featured address. Rodney Worrell is a lecturer in the Department of History and Philosophy at the University of West Indies, Cayfield campus. He has a Bachelor of Arts in History and Political Science, a Master of Philosophy in Political Science from the University of the West Indies, Cayfield campus. Dr. Worrell also has a PhD in Political Science from the University of the West Indies, Mona campus. He presently teaches courses in Caribbean civilization, introductory history of the Caribbean, and the Black experience in the United States since 1865. Dr. Worrell has also taught the following courses: History of Africa from 1800 to 1900, Liberation Struggles in the 20th Century Africa, African Civilizations 1000 to 1800, West African Political History since 1880, Caribbean Political Philosophy and Caribbean Political Philosophy in Antiquity. His latest articles are Israel Lovell, UNIA President and Political Activist in Barbados, 1919 to 1937. Journal of Liberty Hall, The Legacy of Marcus Garvey, Volume 4, 2019, page 32 to 44. And Pan-Africanism in the Caribbean, which was edited by Raylan Rabaka. The Routledge Handbook of Pan-Africanism, published in London, by Routledge in the year 2020, page 216 to 230. Dr. Worrell is the author of Pan-Africanisms in Barbados and co-author of Pan-Africanists, Pan-Africanism, and African Liberation in the 20th Century with Horace Campbell. He is the author of the forthcoming book, George Padmore's Black Internationalism. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as we welcome to the podium our featured speaker for today, Dr. Rodney Worrell.
Kindly be seated. Okay. Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, the Honorable Sanchia Bradshaw. Minister in the Ministry of Education and Food Security, Peter Phillips. Parliamentary Secretary, Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, Dr. Romel Spreyer. Chairman of the Board of Management, Pearson Spreyer, and other board members, honored guests, Mr. and Mr. Vaspert Drake, Principal Cheryl Gill, members of staff, students, distinguished guests, members of the media, good morning. In this speech, I hope to be sufficiently brief because I have to teach class at 12 o'clock. So I should get there about 10 past 12. So I have no fears. Right. And the speech is divided on 3 planks really. 1, salutations and remembrances. 2, the present moment. And 3, the task. And I'm addressing the task strictly to the students of the school. Right. I wish to thank the chairman of the board, Mr. Springer, the principal, Cheryl Gill, and Daryll Hart for taking a chance and inviting me to come to speak on this important occasion. It was a pleasure and joy really to be able to return to home, really to be able to return to the source, right? And this return to the source was of great psychological importance for me because it was in this source that I'm still trapped. And I say still trapped because my interest my interest in terms of, it was at the source that cultivated my love for reading. It was at this source that cultivated my early embryonic Pan-African sensibilities. So when in history I was being taught about resistance and revolt, or I was being taught about the transatlantic slave trade, this was the flowerings of my Pan-Africanism. When I discuss, and I'm saying one of my English teachers here, so when I discuss Animal Farm led me to the Russian Revolution and ultimately into Marxism. So I'm pleased to return to the source. And it was on these corridors and around these surroundings that I recognized that we had great racial and class injustices in the world. And it was here that I recognized that a better world was possible. And it was here that I committed myself to the creation of this better world. So it gave me great pleasure to be amongst the brightest and the best. And you, the students of Daryll Jordan, you are the brightest and the best, and you are the torch holders of this Daryll Jordan School. As someone who played a bit of cricket, and I played cricket in the same team, we had a pretty outstanding team. Vaspert Drakes was in the same cricket team, Terry Rawlett, Orson Rowe, and Jeff Bruns was the games master. I recognize that when you're 49, you're on the cusp of a major landmark. However, although you are on the cusp of this major landmark, you must concentrate, you must be very selective as you are approaching your half century. So I'm hearing a lot about the anticipation of the Jubilee. So I'm saying that 49 years in the life of a school means that the school is still relatively young. But it is a significant landmark. And I believe, therefore, that I should thank all of the principals that would have played a role in the school for the last 49 years. I also wish to thank the teachers and the ancillary staff that would have made invaluable contribution to the development of this institution. It would be remiss of me having the stage not to mention some of my favorite teachers, and I'm hopefully that they're listening. So I want to start with Daryll Jordan because we seem to have had a very good relationship, and he taught me how to be a human being, right? And I recognized this when I was a teacher in the trenches as well, how you should operate as a teacher. Names like Jeff Bruns, Mr. Stephen Norville, Angela Boyce, Daryll, and my favorite teacher was Mr. Merton Grace, who taught me history. I know, and I'm glad to see that Mr. Bradshaw as well, he taught me history in second form. So you have contributed to creating this fairly complex or mad individual. And I also saw Mr. Fenty. And Mr. Fenty, right, yeah. I always remember the pearls of wisdom that Mr. Fenty would deliver as inside my house, because he was the housemaster at the time. So I wish to thank them. And I believe strongly that the teachers that are presently working at the school are as committed as the teachers before. So I wish to pay kudos to you as well. And I know that you, the teachers back then, and I will make the assumption as well as now, always went beyond the call of duty to ensure that every talent was placed to its greatest use. So now I come to the moment. And there's great anticipation about the Jubilee. But where I stand, I'm saying that this is a revolutionary moment. This is a moment of great uncertainty inside the world. This is a moment of rapid change. It's Principal Gill spoke about the use of the online technology. I have to rush and teach online. So this is part of the revolutionary changes, because 2 years ago, or even in January, no one could have imagined or anticipated these rapid changes. Right? We're seeing the greater use of the digital platform. So your parents probably using their credit card, probably engaging electronic banking, etc. The COVID has, in a way, brought about a lot of those changes, but COVID has also exposed the weaknesses and the limitations of the dominant political system, or the dominant ideas that drove these political systems. So we're living in this revolutionary moment. And we can see in Barbados, for example, or the Caribbean, because of our dependence on tourism, we are in a major bind. So we're in a major bind, and we hope that we quickly be able to defeat this pandemic so that we can resume business as usual. But if we can't resume business as usual, then given the level of unemployment, etc. So we are at this moment of uncertainty. But it's also a moment of possibility as well, because this moment will also place the focus on global racial injustices and global class injustices. Because in the midst of this pandemic, when many people are becoming poor, we have a 1% across the world that are raking in billions. So we have to start asking some serious questions about this moment. And this, we on TV, and I'm speaking, you would have seen the explosion of marches and protests in the United States and across Europe, because persons are saying that a better world is possible. And we need to move away from this old world or these old oppressive ideas. And we also witness this in Barbados as well with the removal or calls for the removal of Lord Nelson. And we're hearing then, and you probably would have heard my voice making some noise about Nelson as well, but he will be removed on the 16th. But whilst the discussion is surrounding these injustices, and I'm glad that the minister is here and the officials from the ministry, so I warned the principal as well, so fair enough. This is a period in that we have to ask questions about the nature of this elitist educational system. Can we continue to have an educational system that was based on an elitist colonial system where we celebrate the few and not the many? These questions need to come to the fore in this moment of crisis and in this moment of possibilities. And can we continue with the false distinction between academic education and technical and vocational education? And now I come to the task. Because in moments of crises, you have to ask what is to be done. And students have about 4 or 5 tasks that, 4 or 5 tasks. 1, listen to the instructions, advice, and wise counsel of your teachers. If I had done this some more, I probably would be on the moon. But on a serious note, kindly listen to the instructions, advice, and wise counsel of your teachers. Right? It saves you a lot of time in trying to reinvent the wheel. Secondly, in not only moments of crises and possibilities, but in moments where you are going to engage in major celebrations, you should draw inspiration from the outstanding past students, right? You should draw your inspiration from the outstanding past student. So as I look in this room, I can see Dr. Cadogan, who was my prefect, right? So we can draw some inspiration from the achievements of some of our outstanding students. I can see Edda Phillips Boyce, who, right? So we need to draw inspiration from these individuals. It is really on their shoulders that you are standing on. So in the African tradition, we recognize that we are standing on the shoulders of those who would have gone before, those who would have paved the way. Like the legendary Sankofa bird, right, from the Akan people of West Africa, or the Akan people, some of them were located in Ghana, but the bird flies forward while he's looking backward. There's a reason why the bird is flying forward, but the bird is looking backward. And the reason for flying forward and looking backward is it reminds us that we need to understand the past in order to move forward. And I'm wondering how much of the past is being taught inside the schools as well. But that is another question as well. Your third task, students, you must affirm that you will be the best and give of your best, whether in athletics, netball, football, music, or in your schoolwork. Yeah, and I mentioned earlier about being in the cricket team with Vasper Dwitz, Orson Rowe, and Terry Roller. And that team, Orson Rowe went on to play for the under-19 team. Terry Roller and Vasper Dwitz went on to play for the Barbados team. And Vasper even went further and played for the West Indies team. So you need to give of your best. And from the time that Vasper and Terry Roller entered this institution, because I'm older than them, we recognize that they brought passion and flair for cricket and love, because we know, or we knew then, that they were going to go far in cricket. So you need to give of your best. You have a bonding duty to yourself and to your parents, your teachers, and your community. Don't accept the idea that you are less than the best, because within this elitist system, there's always a perception that some, and I go back to the animal farm story, those who know the animal farm, that some animals are better than other animals. I probably have it wrong. Ms. Bruns, you can correct me. But life, students, is like a relay race. And the generation that pass on the baton to you, you are supposed to take the baton, and you are supposed to run further, and you are supposed to run faster than the generation, because inside this 21st century, you have to be nimble, you have to be sharp, right? And you have to give of your best, because this 21st century is going to be even more hostile than it was in the 20th century. Students, you must view your education beyond the narrow confines of getting a cushy job, which is important. And you must also see your education providing you with the, or going beyond providing you with the critical thinking skills. But you must see education as a device to help to create a better Barbados, a better Caribbean, and indeed a better world. Students, you must put every talent to greatest use. I wish to thank the family at Daryll Jordan Secondary School for inviting me and wishing them all the best in their 49th anniversary celebration and in anticipation of the Jubilee. I thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Daryll, for sharing your inspiring message with us here today. Ladies and gentlemen, Murphy's Law states, when something is to go wrong, it will go wrong. And I must say that whatever the Lord does is well done. Amen. So, with that being said, we're going to take a little sidestep from your programs right now. At this time, I would like to invite the following persons to stand and make their way over to the balcony to my right. We're going to ask the Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, the Honourable Santia Bradshaw. She will be joined by the Minister in the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, the Honourable Pete Phillips. We are also going to invite the Chairman of the Board of Management, Mr. Pearson Springer, honored guests, Mr. and Mrs. Vasper Dritz, and their son Dominic, to join these persons over here on the balcony. This year's theme, as you would have heard already, is anticipating jubilation. One of the activities that we would have had planned for this afternoon would have been a T10 match and the renaming of the school's pavilion. But the Almighty God, in his infinite wisdom, has been so gracious to us to bless us with some much needed showers of blessings that we are truly grateful for. So, in order of not being complacent, we decided to do a symbolic opening and renaming of the school's pavilion. The school's pavilion will be renamed today in honor of two outstanding Barbados and West Indies stalwarts. Firstly, Mr. Vasper Dritz. A robust player hailing from Barbados, Vasper Dritz began his international career in 1994 to 1995 when he was picked for the first ODI against Australia at his hometown, Barbados. Bowling alongside the likes of Walsh, Ambrose, and Benjamin, Dritz did not fare badly, collecting 1 for 39 in 9.5 overs. Unfortunately, he was cut off from the setup despite owning a second skill as a handy batsman lowered down the order. He did not obtain a chance to return until September 2002, when he was chosen for the Champions Trophy. He excelled in the tournament, although the team messed up badly. He briefly added steel to the test bowling, claiming a career best of 5 for 93 against Australia in 2003 in a winning cause. His most memorable moment, though, arrived with the bat with his unbeaten 27 in a glittering cameo-guided West Indies to the highest successful run chase in Test history. He played till the 2003 World Cup and signed off with 33 Test wickets and 51 ODI wickets. Mr. Dritz would have started school in September of 1980. His international teams included West Indies and Scotland. His domestic teams were Barbados, the West Indies Board 11, West Indies Under 23, and in England he represented Leicestershire, Warwickshire, Nottinghamshire, and Sussex. Also in South Africa, he played for Border. In 1992, he made his Barbados debut in January, where he had a record of 27 matches. His batting, he amassed 971 runs at an average of 32.36, with his highest score being 180 not out. Bowling, he bowled a mammoth amount of 741.4 overs, being put to the sword for 2,488 runs, collecting 92 wickets at an average of 27.04. His best bowling in the innings was 7 for 47, while his best bowling in the match was 8 for 86. Mr. Ryan Hurley would have started here at the St. Lucie Secondary School in September of 1987 and followed his uncle onto the school's cricket team. He would have represented West Indies in the under-19 setup in 1995, and he has 2 centuries against Pakistan. He made his Barbados first-class debut in January of 1995, where he played 25 matches, scoring 892 runs at an average of 26.23, with his highest score being 122. With his turn with the ball, he bowled 566.4 overs at a cost of 1,454 runs. He took 52 wickets at an average of 27.96. His best bowling innings was 5 for 56, which also was his best bowling figures in a match. In his time in the field, he took 12 catches. His most impactful season came in the 2000 and 2003 season, where he played 9 first-class matches. Batting, he scored 337 runs at an average of 33.7, his highest score being 116. Bowling, he bowled 175 overs for 473 runs, taking 18 wickets at an average of 26.27. His best bowling figures in an innings and also in a match are 4 for 22. During this first-class season, he also caught the Clive Lloyd Award for fielding. Mr. Hurley would have gone on to represent West Indies, and he made his debut in May 24, 2003, versus Australia, where he took 1 wicket and 2 catches. His ODI record includes 9 matches, 13 runs at a meager average of 3.25. Bowling, he bowled 63 overs, for 313 runs, taking 5 wickets with an average of 62.6 and an economy rate of 4.96. He also took 5 catches. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ryan Hurley and Mr. Vasper Drix. On the screens here, to my left and to my right, the plaque that was just ceremoniously unveiled reads, "The Vasper Drix and Ryan Hurley Pavilion was officially opened on Wednesday, October 28, 2020 by the Honorable Santia Bradshaw, MP, Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, and the Honorable Peter Phillips, MP, Parliamentary Representative for the constituency of St. Lucie." Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Ms. Pamela Levine. Please stand. Ms. Levine grew up playing softball, and it was from this sport that her love for cricket emerged. Her cousin Gordon Greenwich and her brother Mark also played cricket for Barbados, and they would have had a hand of inspiring Ms. Levine to represent the island in cricket. She first played softball at the age of 9, but took up her cricket bat at secondary school, which was then called St. Lucie Secondary, where she played alongside Vasper Drakes in the inter-house competition. Since then, Ms. Levine has gone on to represent Barbados in 2004. She would have made her international debut for the West Indies at the World Cup in South Africa in March of 2005. She is known for her hard-hitting approach, and she's a very, very tidy fast bowler. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Pamela Levine. Ladies and gentlemen, now, you have all been sitting for quite some time. So I invite you all to stand as we proudly sing our school song. This morning, we will be featuring a recorded track which was done by some of the members of the dedicated staff here at the Daryll Jordan Secondary School. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we seem to be not ready for our school song. To the students of the first and second years, you would have learned a lot today. You would have been challenged. You would have been inspired to take on the motto of the school, which says, every talent to its greatest use. Those talents that you've been asked to bring from under the bush that you're hiding them on, to place them on the hilltop so that the world, so that Barbados, so that your parents, your friends can see. You are not too small to make a difference. As just read, Ms. Levine took up the bat for the first time at age 9. And all of us here are past age 9. Remember, it is said, if you think that you are too small to make a difference, spend one night in a room with a mosquito. That mosquito will determine whether you get a good night's sleep or whether you get no sleep at all. So remember, you are not too small. You are not too young. Remember that your decisions, the decisions that you make today, will determine your destiny. So I implore you, students, to strive for those things that are pure, those things that are excellent, and those things that are of good report. When you do this, you can be assured of success. Okay, students? Okay, students? Students are looking at me like, what was that he just said? Give of your best at all times, students. That is what I just said. Thank you. We will now have our school's song. Thank you very much. We now call on Mrs. Sophia Shepherd-Yearwood and Mrs. Heather Wilcher to move the vote of thanks.
You may be seated. Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, Honorable Santia Bradshaw. Minister in the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, Honorable Peter Phillips. Parliamentary Secretary, Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, Dr. Ramel Springer. Chairman of the Board of Management, Mr. Pearson Springer, and other members of the Board of Management. Honored guests, Mr. and Mrs. Vaspert Drakes, Acting Principal, Mrs. Cheryl Gill, featured speaker, Dr. Rodney Worrell, esteemed colleagues, distinguished guests, members of the media. The pleasure is ours to move the vote of thanks for this momentous occasion, an occasion that those gathered here and those on virtual platform will always remember.
To Mr. Brogan, Senior Prefects, cadets for precision displayed in executing the Guard of Honor and the posting and retrieval of colors, I say thank you for your contribution in adding value to the Daryll Jordan brand. To Pastor Rowe, who invoked God's presence, we say a very special thank you. To the head girl, Donnell Holder, and head boy, Trey Belgrave, who gave scripture readings, and to Tamika Adamson, who will also give our closing prayer, our deepest thank you.
To the Honorable Peter Phillips, Ministry in the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, it is with deepest gratitude that we give thanks to you for your congratulatory reports. The warmth and sincerity of your words, I am sure you have left marks on those of us who were the recipient. You have also reminded us of our rich history. Once again, I say thank you. To the Chairman of the Board of Management, Mr. Pearson Springer, we thank you for your warm and welcome words of encouragement, commitment, and for assisting greatly in the building of a positive school culture through your various initiatives. Once again, sir, we thank you.
To the Honorable Santia Bradshaw, Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, we deemed it an honor to have had you grace us with your presence and for the unveiling of our first academic shield. Thank you for reflecting on our history, highlighting the success of our past students and the commitment of our teachers. Your kind words were noted graciously and accepted. Again, I say thank you. To our acting principal, Mrs. Cheryl Gill, we thank you in a very special way for such wonderful remarks and sound words of wisdom. Indeed, even though this is your first official function in your capacity as principal, we note with pride that you spoke aplomb and we took to heart every word you said. Thank you once again, Madam Principal. Our distinguished guest and esteemed feature, Dr. Rodney Worrell, our gratitude knows no bounds. You have delivered with passion. We can all say with one accord that we are most proud of the fact that you are indeed a past student of this illustrious institution. and one who have added value to the Dow Jordan brand. I say thanks for recognizing this institution as the foundation of your success. Thanks for your advice, and I assure you that we are indeed beneficiaries of your wealth of knowledge.
It was Shakespeare who said, "If music be the food of love, play on." I'm quite sure that everyone here will agree with me that our musical appetites were well fed as we digested with glee the musical repertoire which was served up to us. Indeed, the musical skills of Daryll Devonish, a past student of this noble institution, as well as the Daryll Jordan Steel Orchestra, were more than enough to satisfy our souls. To our support staff who ensured that our surroundings were immaculate, our seating arrangements complied with to meet COVID-19 protocols, and for the collating and printing of our programs, thank you. Special thanks to our Porter Messenger, Mr. Remington Sobers and Mr. Wayne Harding for their tireless efforts to ensure that things went smoothly today. Thank you to our team of decorators, ably led by Miss Laurel Armstrong, who did an outstanding job in ensuring that our auditorium and corridors were phenomenal. Special thanks to you, Miss Irene Banville, and the Visual Arts Department for creating an exhibition in the entertainment room. To our Master of Ceremony, Mr. Lindell Thompson, I say thank you for a job well done. To our team of ushers who continue to grow and develop, I say thank you. To our scholarship contributors, Crown Counsel Anthony Blackman, Mr. Dujon Edwards, Mr. Lennox Ellis, past students, and the Honorable Peter Phillips, Parliamentary Representative for St. Lucie, I say thank you for your generous contribution to your field of excellence.
To our technical team, sound engineer Nigel Griffith and his assistants, photographer Mr. Antonio Armstrong and his assistants, to our information technology specialist, Ms. Bourne and her team, thank you. A heartfelt thank you goes out to the Commemoration Day Committee, who was led by Ms. Janelle Hart. Without their dedication and commitment, this day would not have been possible. To our honored guests, Mr. and Mrs. Bastard Drake, and other members of the Old Scholars, I say thank you for accepting our invitation and celebrating with us. To the media, thank you for gracing us with your presence and for covering today's program. The canteen proprietor, Mr. Franklin, who would have prepared for our specially invited guests, I thank you in advance for the delicious meal. Finally, I wish to thank the audience for your physical and virtual presence, which has contributed to making this program a success. If we inadvertently forgot to thank anyone, it was not deliberate. We thank you. Do have a blessed remainder of the day. Thank you.
As we bring this morning's proceedings to a close, I invite you to stand as I call on Senior Prefect Tamika Adams to bring an end to our 49th commemoration service as she leads us in a closing prayer. Immediately after she is finished, we will have the retrieval of the colors and the recession of the head party.
Let us pray. Thank you, Lord, for your presence with us this day. As we depart from this space now, we ask you to bless us throughout the remainder of this day and guide us safely through this year. Lord, do not let the encouraging words shared in this Thanksgiving service die, but instead, continue to ruminate within us and bear fruit in our lives throughout the year. We ask this in the name of Jesus and in the power of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Please remain standing for the recession of the colors. We will now have the recession of the head party. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. As our specially invited guests make their way out of the auditorium, students, there are some notices that I wish to share with you. Jamal, where the house, please? We will now be breaking for lunch for the period of 1 hour. We will now be breaking for our lunch for the duration of 1 hour. So once you are dismissed, you may return to your classrooms, where you will get your bags and you will have your lunch. Once lunch has been completed, we will come back to the auditorium to have a discussion on cricket led by specially invited guest, Mr. Vasper Dres. Students, you know everything must be done in order, so at this time I ask you to stand as we say our grace before meals.
Welcome to the Daryll Jordan Secondary School, where within these hallowed walls are
May the grace
for all.
Sorry, for what?
Our school motto is every talent to get his youth.
First years, have a seat and await. First and second years, have a seat and await the instructions of Colonel Bradshaw.
case? Oh, it's fine. This part? Define case and certify.